I never thought I'd be the guy catching his wife cheating on him during the worst week of his life, but here I am. Her name's Emily. She's supposed to be a smart, confident woman, but I guess even the smartest can fall into the stupidest traps. Our relationship was pretty standard, or at least I thought it was. We'd been married for about 5 years, and honestly, I trusted her more than I trusted anyone. We had our arguments, sure, but I never once doubted her loyalty. That changed the day I got the news about my brother. He died unexpectedly in a car accident just 2 days before the funeral. It hit me like a freight train. I was wrecked, numb, grief-stricken, barely able to hold it together. Emily was there, of course, acting all sympathetic and trying to comfort me, but something about her felt off. She was overly eager to distract herself, texting on her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, whispering under her breath. I didn't think much of it at first. Grief makes people act strangely. But then the weird stuff started adding up. She began canceling plans last minute, claiming work was hectic or she had some urgent meetings. She'd come home late and smell like perfume I didn't recognize, and her phone was always glued to her hand, even in bed. The worst part was how she started avoiding my eyes like she was hiding something, and I kept telling myself I was just imagining things, that maybe I was too raw to see clearly. But deep down, I knew I was just delaying the inevitable. One night, I decided to check her phone. I'd been suspicious for a while but kept telling myself I was paranoid. I unlocked her passcode, I knew her patterns well enough, and started scrolling through her messages. That's when I saw the texts. They weren't innocent. They weren't just helping him cope during my brother's funeral. They were explicit, flirty, dirty texts, talking about sex, about how much she missed him, how she was thinking about him when she was supposed to be grieving. I read it all, helpless, sick to my stomach, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. The messages made it clear they'd been seeing each other for weeks, maybe longer. I couldn't believe it. I felt betrayed, humiliated, like my entire world had been turned upside down. I kept asking myself, how long has this been going on? Have I missed signs? Did she lie about everything, about loving me, about being faithful? And worse, I wondered how much of what she said during those last few days was just her lying, pretending to care, when she was probably busy fucking her boss behind my back. That's when I finally realized I'd been a fool for so long. After I found those messages, everything started to feel like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. My hands were trembling and I couldn't breathe properly. I stared at the screen, reading those texts over and over again, trying to make sense of it all. How could she do this? How could she betray me like this, especially now, during my brother's funeral? It was like she was using that tragic moment as an excuse to hide her affair. I felt so furious, so crushed, I didn't know what to do. I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't just pretend I didn't see it. I waited for her to come home that night, heart pounding in my chest. When she walked through the door, she looked tired, like she'd been out all day, but there was a strange glint in her eyes. I blocked the doorway and told her I needed to talk. Her face changed instantly, the fake concern, the innocent act, but I was past caring about her lies. I slammed her phone down on the table and told her I knew everything. Her reaction was nothing like I expected. Instead of breaking down or apologizing, she rolled her eyes and snapped, "Oh, please, don't make this into a big deal. It's not even what you think." She painted herself as a victim, saying she was just trying to help him cope, that she was stressed and that I was just being paranoid. She told me I was overreacting, that she was only talking to him as a friend, that it meant nothing. But I wasn't buying it. Her eyes weren't convincing. They were defiant, angry even. She looked like she wanted to dismiss me, shut me down. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. To her, her betrayal was just some insignificant mistake, a minor lapse she could brush off. Meanwhile, I was drowning in a storm of emotions. I felt a mixture of anger, hurt, and confusion. How could she be so callous? How could she lie so blatantly? I was furious that she'd been lying to me even during the funeral, that she'd been sneaking around behind my back during the worst week of my life. I had so many questions. Were there other guys involved? How long had she been doing this? Did she even love me anymore? That night I stayed up staring at the ceiling, replaying everything I'd learned. My mind kept racing, trying to connect the dots, trying to understand whether this was just a fling or a deeper betrayal. I kept telling myself I needed to be calm, but inside I was boiling. I knew I couldn't just walk away without some kind of plan. I had to figure out what to do next. All I knew for sure was that Emily was no longer the woman I thought I married, and my world was shattered. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My head was pounding and my stomach was in knots. The betrayal was like a poison running through my veins. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and I kept replaying her words from the night before. That it's not what you think bullshit. Yeah, I knew exactly what she thought. She thought she was sneaky, clever, untouchable. But I wasn't going to let her get away with it. Not this time. I decided I had to get more proof. I couldn't just confront her based on her word alone. I started digging into her phone again, going through her messages more carefully, looking for anything I might have missed. That's when I found even more. Hidden conversations, secret emojis, secret apps she'd used to delete her tracks. It was like she was trying to cover her tracks, but she wasn't very good at it. It confirmed what I already suspected. She'd been lying to me for weeks, probably longer. I knew I had to act fast. I couldn't let her keep up the charade. So I set up a hidden recording app on her phone, just to catch her in the act if she slipped up again. I needed definitive proof, proof I could use if I decided to blow this whole thing apart. I also called a private investigator I knew, not because I wanted to ruin her, but because I needed to know the full scope of her betrayal, how many times she'd lied, how deep it went. I needed to see her true face, not just the lies she told me. While I was doing all this, Emily was still acting like everything was fine. She was going to work, coming home late, throwing accusations my way if I asked where she'd been. She told me I was paranoid, that I was imagining things. She called me overreacting, said I was being unreasonable. But I saw right through her. She was trying to gaslight me, make me doubt myself, but I refused to let her. I knew she was hiding something, and I was going to find out what it was, no matter what. I felt a strange mix of adrenaline and despair. Part of me wanted to confront her again, to demand answers. The other part wanted to just walk away, to cut my losses and forget about her. But I knew I couldn't do that. Not yet. I had. Sure. I had to know exactly how long she'd been lying, how deep her betrayal went. It was like peeling back layers of a rotten onion. Every new piece of evidence made me angrier, more hurt, more determined to get revenge for what she'd done. Over the next few days, everything changed. I was living in a constant state of tension, waiting for her to slip up, waiting for the proof I needed to confirm just how deep her lies went. The private investigator got back to me sooner than I expected. Turns out, Emily had been meeting her boss, Jason, at least twice a week for the past month. Not just sneaking a quick coffee, no, they'd been fucking around, plain and simple. The investigator had photos, screenshots, everything. I looked at those pictures and felt my stomach turn. Her with him, always in some hotel or her car, whispering, laughing like they didn't have a care in the world. I also found out about some of the other women she'd been talking to on secret apps, but Jason was the main one. The boss, the one she claimed she was helping cope, that was the biggest lie. Of all, she was using that phrase as a shield, as if it made everything okay. But it didn't. It made me sick. I kept asking myself, how much longer had she been lying about everything? How long had she been living this double life? I realized I'd been blind, so blind I'd missed all the signs. Her changing behavior, her excuses, her late nights, the perfume, every little thing pointed to one brutal truth. She was cheating on me with her boss, and she'd been doing it for way longer than I thought. That realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I felt betrayed, yes, but also numb. I started to think about all the moments I'd taken her word for granted, all the times I'd defended her, told myself she was just stressed or overwhelmed. Meanwhile, she was out there, lying, screwing around behind my back. I couldn't believe I'd been so stupid. All the little signs I'd ignored, all the excuses she'd made, suddenly made sense. She'd been playing me from the start. I couldn't keep pretending I was okay. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time with everything on the table. I planned my approach carefully. I wanted her to see that I knew everything. This wasn't some petty jealousy or jealousy. This was betrayal at its worst. I decided I'd catch her in the act and let her see that I wasn't some fool who'd just accept her lies anymore. I was done being manipulated. I was done being her fool. That night, I set my plan into motion. I left my phone recording, waited for her to come home, and prepared myself for what I knew was coming, the truth, or at least her latest lie. That night I watched her walk through the door and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. She looked tense, like she was trying to hide something, but I kept my cool. I blocked her way and told her I knew everything, the texts, the meetings, the secret apps. Her face froze for a second, then she shot me that same condescending look, like I was just some paranoid idiot blowing things out of proportion. She tried to deny it again, saying she was just stressed, that it was nothing serious, that I was overreacting, same old bullshit. But I had enough. I pulled out the evidence on my phone, screenshots, the investigators' reports, everything. Her eyes widened and her mouth opened like she was about to lie again, but I wasn't letting her. I told her I knew she'd been lying from the start, that she'd been cheating on me with her boss for months, and that I wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. I saw her falter, that furious, bitchy attitude flickering into something else, guilt maybe, or anger at being caught. She tried throwing everything back in my face, how hard she's been working, how she needs the affair to cope with her stress. She kept insisting it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything, that I was being stupid and insecure. But I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I told her she was a liar, a cheat, and that I was done. I told her I was tired of her plastic face, her lies, her manipulations. I said I'd had enough of her excuses, her bullshit about helping him cope, when she was really just screwing her boss for fun. The confrontation turned into an ugly shouting match. She was furious, calling me crazy, attacking my masculinity, saying I was just jealous because I wasn't enough for her. She told me I was a terrible husband, a boring guy who couldn't satisfy her. Honestly, if I'd been weaker, I think she would have kept going, kept lying, kept pretending she was innocent. But I finally saw her for what she really was, a selfish bitch who only cared about herself and her own stupid needs. That moment was a turning point. I knew I couldn't stay with her, not after all this. The betrayal ran too deep. I felt crushed but also strangely relieved. I had finally uncovered the truth and I wasn't going to let her keep lying to me anymore. I told her to pack her things and leave. I didn't want to see her face again. As she stormed out, screaming and crying, her typical act, I realized this was the end. The last chapter of a relationship I'd trusted blindly. I felt the weight of betrayal heavy on my chest, but also a strange sense of clarity. I was done with her lies and I was finally free. In the days that followed, everything felt surreal. The house was eerily quiet without her. I kept thinking about how I had been so blind, how I had trusted her words, her fake smiles, and her empty promises. The betrayal cut so deep it was like a wound that refused to heal. I spent hours staring at the walls, trying to piece together how someone I loved and trusted could lie so blatantly, so thoroughly. I kept replaying her words, her excuses, and the look in her eyes when she was caught. Honestly, I still don't quite understand how she could be so callous. The worst part was realizing the amount of time I'd wasted on her, thinking she was faithful, thinking I'd found my partner for life. Instead, I found out she'd been using me, manipulating me, and sneaking around while pretending she was just stressed or busy. It made me question everything, my judgment, my worth, the entire foundation of our marriage. Honestly, I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and a strange sense of relief. Angry that I'd been played for a fool, sad that the woman I loved turned out to be someone I didn't even recognize anymore, but also relieved that I finally saw the truth. I decided to cut all ties with her. No more calls, no more texts, no more pretending. I moved out of the house, leaving everything behind except the lessons I'd learned. I realized that sometimes the only way to truly move on is to face the pain head-on and accept that it's over. I've started seeing a therapist to work through the anger and betrayal, and it's helping. I've also been reconnecting with friends and family who have supported me through this mess. It's been a long road, but I know I'll come out of this stronger. Looking back, I've learned a lot. Trust is fragile, and sometimes people hide their true selves behind a mask. I wish I'd seen the signs earlier, but now I know what to watch for. If there's one thing I can tell anyone reading this, it's this. Don't ignore the red flags. If your gut tells you something's wrong, listen to it. Don't let yourself be manipulated or gaslighted. And most importantly, never stay in a relationship where you're being lied to and disrespected. You deserve honesty, respect, and loyalty, not secrets, lies, and betrayal. As for me, I'm finally working on myself. I've started to rebuild my confidence and trust in people again. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I won't let anyone betray me like that again. Life's too short to be with someone who doesn't value you. That's the harsh truth I've had to face. And while it hurts like hell, I know I'll be okay.